Welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Rewatch Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 101 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from January 1st, 1994, taped question mark somewhere.
It was
My name
indeed
is
taped
Ar
somewhere.
Yeah. My name is Arya, and joining me, I don't even know what to call you at this point. Um, yeah, there's like nothing I can really note here. Joining me is Trae. Trae,
Hey,
how
I'm
the hell are
Trae.
you today?
I'm okay. I'm been really busy. We talked on Tuesday. I've been involved in moving and getting a crash course in home ownership, so that's very exciting.
How's that coming along?
Well, so far we've been very fortunate. Now if the smart deadbolt that I installed earlier today that decided about 10 minutes before we started recording that it couldn't see my Wi-Fi network anymore, I might
Hmm,
throw something through a window, but other than that, everything is going pretty well.
interesting. Interesting.
Is it
Ah,
interesting?
Lord. What was that?
Is it interesting?
Yes.
Glad you're
Are you able
interested.
to are you able to get in and out of your house?
Yes, the lock still works manually. I do have a key.
That's good. Um, By the way, so I know, you started watching wrestling in the late 90s, but you've gone back to watch stuff from, the early 90s at this point, right?
That's kind of how we got to be doing the podcast.
Yeah. Um, do you remember the WWF ring announcer Bill Dunn?
Not offhand. I'm sure I've seen them.
Um, I always thought he was pretty good. I don't know what the hell happened to the guy, but because everyone always loves the Fink, but I thought Bill Dunn was pretty good. I thought about it because I was watching well, watching is a strong word. Um, when I was looking at the back of my eyelids for a little while tonight, I had WrestleMania 10 on in the background, and him and the Fink split the announcing duties during the show. And he
Yeah, because
introduces
Fink did the Hair
sort of,
Club for Men spot.
yes, and
Oh my God. Did you probably
mhm.
didn't see the other day, but because you were like busy with stuff. But there was talk last week that a certain intellectually challenged traitor douchebag who's been elected to high public office in this country might have been at WrestleMania, which they weren't,
Yep,
thankfully.
yep.
But
I
I remember I saw somebody saying, "Well, this would be a big deal even beyond the politics. There hasn't been a president at WrestleMania since WrestleMania 10 with Bill Clinton." Wait. People think that was actually Bill Clinton at WrestleMania 10. Apparently they do. Did you know that?
When I was 9 years old, I thought that was really Bill Clinton until
That
after
show.
WrestleMania 10. Until after WrestleMania 10, we were watching the news and they said Bill Clinton was somewhere on the other side of the country.
Damn it, the news broke kayfabe.
Yep. Indeed. But yeah, I knew about Jackass potentially showing up at WrestleMania, and thankfully he didn't, because that's the only way that show could have gotten worse.
Well, he's got a lot of fans there in the backstage
He,
and probably the stands too.
well, I mean, fucking Dana White was in the front row, and Colby
Fucking
Covington was
douchebag.
there.
Just all kinds of manner of gross people.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Well, we got to talk about Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Um,
I guess that's what the people came for. Both of them.
yes, all three of you. Um, so this week's episode is a best of episode. Literally, like
Yep.
this may be the fastest episode we ever do on this show. Like, I think like, is there anything on the show you didn't see? I think maybe the first thing.
The first thing, Bobby Eaton debuting, I had not seen.
Yeah,
That was before, right before.
yeah. Because we'll get to that here in a second. But so the show is hosted by Jim Cornette and Tammy Fitch, and I'll say this, like they did a fine job hosting the best of show. But I was wishing that Daryl Van Horn was here with Dutch Mantel and Bob Caudle.
You know, that would have been better. No, nothing against Cornette and Tammy. It's just the interplay between like Daryl Van Horn and Bob Caudle is very funny to me.
Hmm. Um, Also, I know, and I'm really going to, break new ground here with this commentary. Tammy looked really fucking good, I thought.
She's a very pretty young lady.
Especially early 90s, early 20s Tammy Fitch, you know, that was
Yeah.
a very good-looking young lady.
Argument here.
What was that?
I said no argument here.
Oh, I know you regularly argue with me over pedantic stuff like that. Like when I tried telling you earlier that Ricky Steamboat was the first world champion to wear pants, to wear long tights, and you were all being pedantic and talking about superstar Billy Graham, and you were looking up the lineage of the AWA world title and trying to, figure out if any of them ever wore long pants. You know, that's something that you did, not me. You did that.
Fucking troll ass troll.
Let's go to literally the only piece of audio I have to play this week, which is hilarious because like half these fucking weeks of Smoky Mountain, we're playing 30 minutes of audio. We're gonna play 1 minute
Yeah,
and two
we
seconds
played
of
all this
audio this
before.
week. Yeah. Let's go to the 1 minute and 2 seconds of audio I'm gonna be playing this week, and Trey and I are gonna take a deep breath for that period of time.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, pro wrestling the way it used to be and the way you like it. And of course, I'm not Bob Caudle, and this is definitely not Dirty Dutch Mantel. No, I'm Jim Cornette. This is the First Lady of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Tammy Fitch, and today we have commandeered the cameras of Smoky Mountain Wrestling to bring you 1993, the year in review. You're going to see a lot of highlights from all the memorable episodes of Smoky Mountain Wrestling over the year of 1993. And Tammy, we're going to see a lot of stars today.
We're going to see more stars on this show than you'd see in the heavens. We have the Heavenly Bodies, the Rock and Roll Express, Arn Anderson, Dirty White Boy, Tracy Smothers, Bob Armstrong, Kevin Sullivan, Terry Funk, the Big Boss Man, the Steiner Brothers, and, of course, the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion, primetime Brian Lee.
That's a lot of stars. I'm confused as to who I even like and don't like, but I tell you what, one of my favorite memories of 1993 started in the month of January when beautiful Bobby Eaton came home and rejoined me in the Heavenly Bodies. Let's take a look at exactly how it took place.
You know, okay, this episode, at least the one that I have, went 49 minutes and 8 seconds. So I don't think there's anything missing off the show, but and we'll get to one later, but they mentioned Big Boss Man. Big Boss Man is not on this week's show. They
Oh
do not show.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I remember that they said that they were going to show Kevin Sullivan and the Big Boss Man, and then they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Oh Lord. But yeah, so th it's like they filmed two shows or something and gave us the wrong one. So
Well,
we get a replay of Bob Eaton's debut, which was back in January. And for those who, don't remember or like Trae just weren't here at the time, This was when the Stud Stable and the Heavenly Bodies, they were both heel teams, but they were friendly-ish. And there was an argument over who were the number one contenders to the tag team titles held by the Rock and Roll Express. And ultimately, it was decided that the Stud Stable was the number one contenders. However, come the day of the show, wouldn't you know who won the pony? The Stud Stable, they didn't show up. They did not show up to the show for their big title match. And so the Heavenly Bodies got inserted. They won the belts when a whole mess of stuff happened here. Um, Basically, half the world interfered during this match, including the Stud Stable, including Dutch, including Cornette. Killer Kyle was out there. And ultimately, Bob Eaton came down, gave Robert Gibson a top rope leg drop, and pulled Tom on top for the win. And this was obviously when the Heavenly Bodies won the belts.
Indeed, it was. That was, I think, would have been the last taping before I arrived on the show here.
Possibly, possibly. And I mean, this is the second time I saw it. The first time you saw it, did it seem chaotic in a good way, or did you think it might have been a bit overbooked?
Uh, no, it was a complicated finish, but I don't know. I didn't think it was a problem. It was a lot happened, but
Yeah.
I think it needed to be chaotic to
hmm
for a guy to be able to come in and hit a top rope leg drop and nobody notice.
And Dutch threw the referee in, not realizing until it was too late that he threw the referee in to let the Bodies get the championship winning pinfall.
Oof.
And now during the show, we've been nice so far to Tammy Fitch. Well, this is where I had to draw the line because she said she was glad that Mr. Ron Wright was really crippled now because of primetime Brian Lee. That witch with a capital B.
She admits she never cared about him aside from his money, which we knew.
Yeah.
We always
Yes.
knew.
Oh yeah. Um, Thankfully, Mr. Ron Wright did not sign those adoption papers.
Oh
Um,
boy, that would have been horrible.
yes. Um, we then get highlights of a Tracy Smothers Dirty White Boy match for the Smoky Mountain title from back in February. This was before the flag burning, and Tracy hit
No,
the
it
jaw
wasn't.
jacker. It
I don't think
wasn't?
so.
Are you
No.
sure?
The flag burning was on the first show that I watched, and this happened after that. Because I
Oh,
saw this match.
okay.
This was like the first really good match that I saw on the show.
All right. So this was after the flag burning angle. Um, it was around the same time. We'll say that. Um, So Tracy hit the jaw jacker but couldn't make the cover. White Boy grabbed Mark Curtis, and Mr. Ron Wright got out of the wheelchair and slugged Tracy, which let White Boy get the win. I'm honestly a little surprised that they showed this Ron Wright getting out of the wheelchair because they do not show the much more famous Ron Wright getting out of the wheelchair moment, which to
Yeah,
me should have been
no.
on this show.
Yeah,
But
they probably could have picked some better. By the way, that this was the same taping, the first Jellicoe, Tennessee taping.
good old Jellicoe, Tennessee.
Good old Jellicoe,
The
Tennessee.
a yellow building. Um, we got Arn Anderson's reveal, which is still, easily one of the best moments of the year. And Cornette, of course, having a 6-star freak out. And just that it was Arn Anderson. And it's like, I guess I really noticed this later on during the three-way. It's like this was a lot of fucking big names in this nine-way angle,
Cornette
you
was so
know?
great selling when he pulls the sheet off, and it's Arn Anderson, and he falls over and screams.
Yep. I just liked when I still note this that when he gave Arn Anderson the Orange Cassidy leg kicks.
By the way, if this was a real best stuff show, we'd have had the promo where Robert Fuller said that he wasn't going to do the Von Erich thing.
My, my the IRS is mad at me. My wife is on my back, but I tell you what, I ain't gonna do the Von Erich thing. Oh no, no, don't do that.
It's my new
Uh,
favorite euphemism for suicide.
well, I'm afraid to ask, what was your prior favorite euphemism for suicide?
I don't know. I didn't really like any of the ones before, so I guess that's the first one.
I ain't gonna do the Von Erich thing. I think I can actually pull that up here. 1 second.
That's good, Colonel.
Yeah, 1 second.
What about the bluegrass
No,
brawl?
fellas, let me tell you something. Stay out of my face and hold the microphone up high, because Stud's gonna tell you, I got 15 women running around on me, IRS up my rear end, son. I got all kinds of problems, but I'm gonna guarantee you, son, I ain't gonna do the Von Erich thing. You know what I'm talking? No, I'm not, because I found out now that we got the match we've been waiting on. This is the one that puts everything in order. Jim Cornette and Heavenly Bodies, you're gonna be out of it, boys. And then I seen you jerk the sheet on the hot dog, the one-legged hot dog. Dutch, hold his head. Jimmy, get hold of his legs. I'll snap that throat on you. And son, I guarantee you, you're going straight to the hospital. Your career is over in sight.
And to think that was on one of the first episodes you did, and you still thought, man, wants to do a serious podcast.
I figured it out.
Yeah, but we figured it out. It took us 3 weeks,
Yeah,
and
we
s-
got there.
you discovered the wacky weed one week, and it was all uphill from there.
Off to the races we went.
Yeah. Tammy told us that she would never allow Primetime Brian Lee to be in a Tennessee chain match because it's just too violent. And I forgot because they showed a few things here. I guess they're both from the same show. They had Primetime Brian Lee versus Tracy Smothers in the chain match. Actually, it was Dirty White Boy versus Tracy in the chain match and the three-team match. I forgot that Lance Russell did the commentary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
it was a real
I
ring-a-ding-dong dandy.
I guess
Um,
I heard the voice and I thought it was Les because they kind of have similar voices.
I mean, to be fair, Les was there, just it was Les and Lance.
Oh, okay. It was Les and Lance. Well, how could you tell them apart?
I don't know. It's just like Lance has that drawl that if you're really listening for it, you could tell it. Plus, Les at one point says Lance, and spoiler, Lance Storm isn't here for like another 2 months.
Well, that helps.
Yeah. Um, so I scrolled down for some reason. Let me scroll back up. So they showed the chain match, which had the finish of every corner match in the history of wrestling, where the heel drags the babyface to three corners, doesn't realize the babyface is also hitting three corners, and then the babyface somehow hits the fourth corner first and wins the match.
Yes,
And
that is what
yeah,
happened. That match was great, though.
yes, that was the first time I realized that you were going above and beyond for this show because you actually watched the Bluegrass Brawl as opposed to me, who just happily watched the TV highlight version.
Yeah, you missed out not seeing the whole version of the chain match or the Great Smoky Mountain Showdown.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's been a month. Have you gone back to watch the full Prince Karis Tim Horner match?
I have not had time to go back and watch anything.
I did. You've missed out on
A fucking terrible match.
you missed out on an all-time classic.
Uh-huh.
Um, I dare anybody who says that Butterbean versus Minoru Suzuki was the worst match ever to claim that after watching Prince Karras versus Tim Horner.
Oh.
Um, we then get basically the finish of the three-team match. Ricky Morton at one point politely clears the announce table and puts it into the ring to send all three Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette into it. Robert Gibson decided to hell with the match and put Jim Cornette in a figure four. And the problem is when you're in, at this point, because it was a six-man tag, because the stud stable was eliminated by this point. The trouble is when you put somebody who wasn't technically in the match in a wrestling move, it leaves you wide open for the people who are actually in the match. And Tom Pritchard had about 3 hours to climb the ring, adjust a foreign object in his knee pad area, and come off with a knee drop to Gibson for the win.
Who among us hasn't wanted to put Jim Cornette in a 54 leg lock at some point or another?
I gotta say, every time Cornette would make a comment about how you don't run wrestling shows at the end of the month because all the wrestling fans are on welfare and they don't get their checks till the first of the month. That one always pisses me off.
I mean, he ran
Um,
a territory in East Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky. You might know what he's on about.
yeah, but it's like I get that impression he had that in his head before Smoky Mountain was a thing.
Oh, you're probably right. And I don't know. I wonder if we looked at some data, if the data would bear out that hypothesis.
Well, so from here, now I'm going to remind you of something that you may have forgotten, Trey. From here, Jim Cornette talks about Tammy Fitch, who is the young lady who filed a sexual discrimination lawsuit against Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And
I'm glad they
I will
finally
say,
reminded us of that because honestly, I
yeah,
had forgotten why she was here.
I'll be honest, like it is amazing how far she's come in 7 months. Because they re-aired her debut promo, and the Tammy Fitch who was here in May is not the Tammy Fitch who co-hosted the year-end show. It's like,
She was so uncomfortable her first couple of weeks, and then yeah, she's gotten so much better.
and then she got a big, tall, strapping man in primetime Brian Lee.
Indeed, she did.
Yep. Um, so from here we got what I thought was the best part of the show. It was like a good 10 minutes just recapping the build to Rage in the Cage and just focusing on the Bullet
Yes,
Bob Jim Cornette part of it.
yes.
Um, because I remember when we watched it, I'm like, and I was telling you as it was happening, I'm like, it feels like it suddenly comes out of nowhere. But when you go back and you're watching all of these little jabs and you're watching like these little comments here and there and you know the story here and the story there, it's like they have been building this up sometimes subtly for months before they finally pulled the trigger. And they also showed the spot that I'd actually forgotten about because they redid it in mid when they did it in mid south, it was so much better where Cornette is ripping on all of Bullet Bob's boys. He talks about Brian being a deserter in the Gulf War, and Bullet Bob tries to walk away, but then Cornette yanks him, so Bob turns around and waylays him. It's like, obviously a takeoff of the Bill Watts thing, and unfortunately, Bullet Bob did not open hand slap Cornette across the arena.
No, he didn't. He did not slap the soul out of him quite like the cowboy did.
No. By the way, I noted at one point, and I actually rewound to double check this, during some wild melee, Bob Caudle referred to his announce partner as Chuck Mantel.
Well, honest mistake.
Yes. And again, it's like, and I know it's like I shouldn't be surprised by this because we see him on TV frequently, but fucking Bob Armstrong, like his chest is fucking huge, you know?
Yeah, turns out that Bullet Bob Armstrong was a pretty big fellow.
Yep. And then they re-showed Cornette shoot injuring Bullet Bob at the Rage in the Cage. And it's hard to tell you which racket shot it was that injured him, but it was painfully obvious that Cornette at one point is pulling his shots because like those first five or six, he is not jumping in the air to make noise. It is pure racket on chest. And then after those first five or six, he is jumping up and down while doing the shots. And it's like, yeah, this is all jumping up and down the noise. And it was also the end of Taz and the stud stable in Smoky Mountain. Actually, it was the end of Robert Fuller because Jimmy Golden was around for another month. But Taz was here for like 3 weeks, and this was the end of him.
Well, he landed on his feet.
I think things worked out for him, you know?
Yeah. To this day, he is gainfully employed.
Indeed. And it's funny because I remember like when he was brought in as like a guest for AEW Dark one week, like their third or fourth
Yeah,
week when they were in Philadelphia. And it was
yeah.
like everyone was like, man, they should keep him around. It's like he hadn't done anything since TNA and he was really phoning it in TNA. And they kept him around and he definitely is not phoning it in AEW, we'll say.
I've always really liked Taz as an announcer.
We got the finish of the last Tangle in Tennessee with the Heavenly Bodies versus the Rock and Roll Express, where Stan got pinned, which is the one stipulation in Smoky Mountain Wrestling history that they actually enforced.
They sure
And
did.
yes, Stan Lane was so upset about losing, he went and became an announcer in the WWF.
You gotta be pretty
Um,
upset to do that.
yep. I always wonder, like, 'cause I don't think Corny's ever really mentioned like how Stan Lane ended up doing that. Because I'm pretty sure Cornette was in the WWF first, and then Stan Lane like randomly showed up afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Think they were unrelated. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
mean,
I don't know.
yeah, and I think it was also around the time they had Charlie Min too. So I mean, you take the good, you take the bad when you're hiring announcers in mid '90s WWF.
I am more curious about the War Tour that Stan Lane did like in late '93. And I don't know if it was taped, but he had a singles match with Ultimo Dragon. And like I wish I could see that.
That just sounds tremendous,
It does.
you know. Indeed. By the way, it's all the that um Scott he was miles ahead of Stephanie Wyand.
Who?
Not that that's saying a whole lot.
Who is Stephanie Wyand? I'm sorry.
You see, there you go. Like you really need to watch your 1995 WWF tapes. She was Todd Pettengill's Christmas gift in 1994 and became the co-host of WWF Mania, and then was like a random
Okay.
a
Yeah.
random
One of
backstage
those.
announcer. Like,
The
you
original
know,
interchangeable female WWF announcer.
yes, she should be in the Hall of Fame because, she may have been the first that stuck around because like they had Bonnie Blackstone for like 2 weeks at one point. Um, but like weirdly enough, I think Stephanie Wine was like the first woman announcer in the WWF who stuck around longer than a month, which is just
Well,
obscure trivia of the highest order.
her name hasn't come up in any of these things lately, has it?
What things?
The allegations.
Stephanie Wine not come up in any of the allegations of sexual abuse against the ring crew. Although at this point, fucking Koko B. Ware's name has come up, so
What?
I you didn't see that?
No.
This was new stuff that came out last night that that one of them accused Koko B. Ware.
Huh. That's
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know. I wasn't there. But that seems like you're just picking a name at random.
I thought you were Bruce Pritchard. You were there.
No, I wasn't there. What was Bruce Pritchard there when Coco Beware was allegedly
Bru-
abusing ring boys?
Bruce Pritchard was everywhere. Uh,
Yeah,
this is when
stupid
we get our
bastard.
cease and desist letter.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, and then we make a shirt out of it like the Young Bucks did, and we get a cease and desist letter from the Young Bucks.
there you go. Um, by the way, have you watched the? I guess you haven't because you just said you haven't watched any wrestling. But have you watched the New Japan show from earlier today?
Have not. I have a little bit of catching up to do. You want to know what a sick fuck your co-host partner is when it comes to New Japan?
I've got a pretty strong suspicion, but go ahead.
I before I got sidetracked with house chores today, I was watching a Road 2 show that didn't even air on New Japan World. It was exclusive to Samurai TV.
And this, just to clarify, it was a Road 2 show for in 2025. It wasn't like, oh, we have a 1993 Road 2 show, one camera
No,
shoot, somewhere
no,
on the road.
it was the current tour. The main event was El Desperado and El Fantasmo versus Great Okan and Templario.
Trey, I think you're what Tony Khan would call the sicko.
I it's me. I'm sickos.
Yeah, the one and only. I'm pretty sure you have a Nielsen box. That's why Rampage was on the air for so long, because you're the only person who watched that.
I miss Rampage. Man, it's just some real deep cut shit. It's fucking 9:15 on a Friday night, and you're watching a 3.25 star Mark Briscoe the Butcher match. What a time to be alive.
Plus, when they would randomly do shit like, I don't know, Chuck Taylor returns and Rocky Romero turns heel, that's the kind of stuff that would happen on Rampage and not Collision.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I, Rocky Romero turned heel.
That is so like I don't know, it seems weird, but then like in retrospect, it makes sense because on the New Japan show in Chicago that was May 12th or whatever, it was somewhere in there. Rocky teamed with El Fantasmo, who they're both part of Hantai now or were at that moment, but they have had a very contentious history. They've had a big rivalry. They don't like each other. So you watch that match and you think that Rocky and ELP not getting along is just them not liking each other. And then you watch if you watch everything, like if you watched the Ring of Honor Prelude to Spring Breakthrough, there was a Rocky Romero and Tomohiro Ishii tag match against somebody, I don't remember. And they were not getting along then either. Like, Rocky and Ishii not getting along. And then the next one is Collision. And that was when they had the other match, and then after that, Rocky turn. So
So
if you're
you're tell
just watching AEW, it's pretty random. But if you're a sicko and you watch everything, it made sense.
so you're telling me they did an 11-month build to Rocky Romero turning heel?
Where did you get 11 months from?
You said May 12th.
Oh, I meant
That
April 12th. I'm sorry.
okay, well that shortens it up quite a bit.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. But yeah, you're still a fucking sicko, dude. You're a fucking
thank you.
sicko. Uh, we then get highlights of Dirty White Boy and Kevin Sullivan versus Tracy Smothers. I don't remember what the match really was, but this was where Primetime Brian Lee turned heel because he made the save and immediately got his ass kicked, needing Tracy to make the save. And to show his gratitude, Primetime Brian Lee turned heel on Tracy Smothers. Um,
That
I'll be
was
honest.
the bounty match between Tracy Smothers and Kevin Sullivan.
Okay. I'll be honest, like, and we especially talked about this at the time. Primetime Brian Lee as a babyface was so punked out. Like he was fucking, you know, like this. He ran in for the save and immediately got his ass kicked and needed to be helped by the person that he was making the save for.
Yeah, he was
You
a
know?
babyface for the first, I don't know, 4 months of me watching this show, and he did nothing in that 4 months and
Yeah.
was very boring.
And it's like it was so like horribly miscast. And I know Kevin Sullivan plays big better than almost anybody. But it's like when you have primetime Brian Lee, who's 6'6", 6'7", getting his ass kicked quite handily and regularly by 5'5" Kevin Sullivan, like it, it's just insane. Like they had to turn him heel. Like even without Tammy Fitch, it's like primetime Brian Lee hadn't turned heel. Like I don't know, he would have been Roman Reigns in 2017.
Ugh.
All that would have been missing was him to do a suffer and succotash promo.
Oh, that was one of the worst things ever.
And to think
Writing that
Vince
promo, writing that
is
promo
the.
was the worst thing Vince McMahon has ever done.
I was hoping you were going to say the worst thing Grizzly Smith ever did. Um, Now what I thought was interesting, and I don't think this plays out at all. I could be wrong, but I don't think it does. They do a thing where Tammy Fitch says that she has primetime Brian Lee wrapped around her little finger, and that he's the best thing she's ever owned.
Uh-huh. I noticed that too. I wonder if anything's going to come of
Yeah,
that.
I don't think it does.
I don't
So,
either.
yeah, because I think Primetime Brian Lee sticks with her until he becomes the Underfaker, and then even then he still sticks around in Smoky Mountain. I think till the end of the year, which that's
Yeah.
I've sent that question in a couple times. It's never been asked how Corny felt about two SummerSlams in a row, his monster heels becoming comedy jokes on WWF television leading into SummerSlam. Because we have primetime Brian Lee, who's about to become the Underfaker, and we have next year we're gonna have Unabomb, who is gonna become Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS. And it's not like Unabomb is masked or anything, so you don't know it's him. It's like, nope, you know it's him.
Do you also know that it's the Christmas creature?
No, because that's not this promotion.
Okay.
Um,
I was had something that I was going to say and I lost it. So it must not have been that good.
it must have been a lie. Yeah. Um, so we get the training video for Armstrong's Army, which is still fucking
Yes.
tremendous.
The best. Oh, the best.
Yes. And then we get Terry Funk versus Bullet Bob when Cornette became commissioner for 5 minutes. Um, where all of Armstrong's army and all of Cornette's criminals fought around ringside, and Terry Funk hit Bullet Bob with the branding iron a couple times, and then fell on top of Bullet Bob in a way that his shoulders were on the mat too. But since this was not supposed to be a double pin finish, Terry Funk won.
By the way, I forgot to mention earlier when they replayed the video of Commissioner Bob Armstrong's long train of abuses against Jim Cornette. I popped all over again for it's just a clip-on tie. It comes right off.
I was like, he turned the hat backwards. He takes off the tie, he unbuttons the shirt, and it's like, I mean, obviously he was still a big guy when wearing a shirt, but and I know I keep focusing on this, but like when he takes off his shirt, it's like, man, he's fucking huge, you know.
Yeah, I kind of so much stuff has happened since then, but I just being reminded of it like this really was the feud of the year.
Yep. We went to commercial, and Cornette said, "Up next, we're going to look at," and he turns to Tammy in one of those wink, wink inside comments. Someone near and dear to your heart, someone I know you have your eyes on, Chris Candido.
Oh
And
yeah, and then we saw no
yeah,
Chris Candido.
yeah, we had no Chris Candido, we had no Big Boss Man. Makes me think we were missing a minute of TV here or something. Because when we come
Ah,
back, and like I didn't think anything was up when we got the Steiners versus Heavenly Bodies because they'd kind of done that where they would tease what was coming up after commercial, but it wouldn't be the first thing after commercial. So it's like it didn't seem off that they were showing the Steiners and the Heavenly Bodies at first. Um, so this was the match that had the finish where Cornette waylaid one of the Steiners with a racket while Mark Curtis was out. Mark Curtis wakes up, counts 1, 2, and oh my God, the racket is in the ring. And Mark Curtis holds it up like he's never seen a racket in his life. Like, oh,
that
you
also
motherfucker.
that also made me laugh all over again. One, two, oh, a tennis racket.
Poor Mark Curtis. Thankfully, Mark Curtis gained his bearings in the nick of time, or the Steiners would have had to do a job here.
Oh no, can't have that.
Um, yeah. So Tammy Bitch is happy that Mr. Ron Wright is out of the picture, and we saw the debut of the love of Trae's life, the dirty white girl. Unfortunately, they didn't air the scene where Primetime Brian Lee essentially backdropped her face first onto the announce desk,
And
which
again,
is
if if this was a real best of, we would have had Margie.
yes. I was thinking like we could have had an entire hour show just the best of Tammy Fitch in 1993. It's like
The
because like we
show
didn't
should have
get.
been hosted. It should have been like Bob and Dutch and Margie.
Oh my gosh, or Tammy and Margie.
Oh, that would be. I bet they could make that very entertaining.
Because like there's a lot of stuff like, and there was a lot of great clips on this show. This is pretty much the end of the show here. They announced that next week are the highlights of Christmas Chaos, and this is where I'm like, where the fuck are the Chris Candido highlights? Like, there's a lot of stuff that like didn't get brought up, and you know, a lot of good shit, like the Margie stuff, like Mr. Ron Wright getting out of the wheelchair, like Chris Candido trying to throw the U.S. Junior Heavyweight title into the river, and poor Bobby Blaze looking like the biggest geek since that time he quote unquote beat the dirty white boy for the TV title.
Oh my God, we could have had a whole hour of just Bobby Blaze looking like a geek.
Oh, that's a YouTube video coming up, I'm sure. Bobby Blaze being a geek in 1993.
Yes.
Oh Lord. But yeah, it's like 93 has had a lot of good shit. And 94, like, man, I think 94 is like their best year. But like the end of 94 too, it's like it becomes readily apparent that they are falling off a cliff. Um,
Yeah, that's but hey, I had never seen this stuff before, and I, really enjoyed it as some of the
mhm.
stuff that we've seen on here is like immediately become some of my favorite stuff ever, and
Yeah.
can't wait to see 1994.
So, have you had any luck trying to track down Margie to do a guest spot on the show?
Not yet. I've been kind of busy, but I'm gonna work on that as soon as I get my TV stand put together.
I'm sure she has a cameo. You know,
Oh, how much do
you,
you think Margie charges for a cameo? $6?
I'd say at least $250. Um, you see Tama Tonga charges $1,000 for a cameo?
He
Like,
probably just doesn't fucking want to do them.
yeah, pretty much. I'm like, there, and it's like if he doesn't want to do it, then why the hell's he even on, cameo? I guess in case someone actually wants to pay him for it, I guess.
I gotta respect that.
Yeah. Uh, so 101 down, 99 to go. Um, and I'll be honest, I was struggling to stay awake because I really wanted to take my pre-show nap. And so the only thing I really noted as what else is happening in the world of wrestling is the third annual January 4th Tokyo Dome show was held on January 4th at the Tokyo Dome.
Oh,
Um,
was it?
what was that?
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Imagine
I
that.
did, yeah, I did not note whatever the title was, but
Battlefield.
I just want to believe you knew that off the top of your head. Um, among the highlights of the show, Jushin Liger defeated Tiger Mask. After the match, Tiger Mask unmasked himself as Koji Kanemoto to the
Hmm.
surprise of nobody, apparently. That was a worse kept secret than Ron Simmons
Yeah.
and Butch Reed were doomed.
Kanemoto was never comfortable as Tiger Mask, and he's so much better as Koji Kanemoto.
I was gonna say, in my limited knowledge of Koji Kanemoto, I'm like, he does not seem like the type of guy who would be Tiger Mask.
No.
Um, and among the other things on the show, Hulk Hogan defeated Tatsumi Fujinami with the Axe Bomber. And no, Tatsumi Fujinami did not try to shoot on Hogan and get the WWF title like Hogan tried to say in that one WWF tape they put out in like 2002. You
He
remember
said that in
that?
his first book too. The
Uh, I, I,
Yeah.
I, I just remember that's how he said that he got Andre the Giant's respect was that Fujinami was shooting on him and he fought back
Look, if
and didn't tell.
Fujinami wanted to shoot on Hulk Hogan would have been turned into a fucking pretzel.
I guess it helped that Hogan didn't actually have the belt, so this
Yeah.
wasn't the time for Fujinami to shoot on him for it. And
Yeah, that would have been dumb.
in the main event, Tenru beat Inoki in the main event,
And
and
in so doing, became the only Japanese to pin both Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki.
interesting. And also, Brutus Beefcake was on this show. He won with the hiney.
Oh, against Black Cat, Victor Rivera, R.I.P.
Yes, yes.
And
I'm just like,
Steiner's against Muto and Hase sounds like a banger.
I'm just trying to scrolling through the Observer this week. Apparently, Ron Reese was training with John Studd to get into wrestling. Um, and of course, he would become the Yeti. It's the
Indeed.
Yeti.
I mainly remember him like the Yeti was bad, but you don't really see it. So the thing that I most remember him for is being jackhammered by Goldberg.
That was fucking impressive.
That
But
was.
do you remember when the Yeti, after Halloween Havoc, he comes out for World War III dressed like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat?
Yes. The fuck was that? Oh god.
It's possible that WCW had no idea what a Yeti really was.
You remember when they wanted, oh god, who was it? Fucking somebody in that uncensored cage match fucking debacle that they came up with the name The Final Solution,
Yeah.
and then somebody
It,
realized, no, and so
yeah.
they changed it to The Ultimate Solution.
That was Jeep Swenson.
Yeah,
Who
yeah, Jeep Swenson. It's
in
the same
in
reason that WWE Elimination Chamber is called No Escape in Germany.
and Gunther doesn't have a last name.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Let me see here. Apparently, Ric Flair and Vader beat the shit out of each other at Starrcade. Spoiler alert.
Oh, really?
Yes. Um, Apparently there was an article on Ted Turner in Pro Wrestling where they mocked him for being in a boardroom with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Awesome Kong, and it's not Kia Stevens Awesome Kong either. It's the other Awesome Kong.
Kia Stevens is by far the superior Awesome Kong.
Yes. Apparently Cactus Jack and his wife, well, more his wife, because Cactus Jack probably didn't do this, gave birth to Noelle this week. Well, 3 weeks ago, actually. And it's News in the
Oh
Observer this week.
well. It's my wife is also a December baby, and her middle name is Noelle.
The first Noel, the angels did sing.
I gotta tell you, if you have the option, don't marry somebody with a birthday in December because Christmas is also in December.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
2000-ish years ago, give or take.
Yeah. Here I thought he was born in July.
Yeah, but they changed it to kind of coincide with what the pagans are already doing. They had no original ideas. They just kind of had to, they're like WWE. They just took shit that other people did better and do it worse. And people think they did it better because they're the biggest.
Um, Let me see here. And this isn't a news story until June, but the King of the Ring is going to be in Baltimore this year in 1994, which nobody gives a shit about until June when you realize this is the King of the Ring in Baltimore with Art Donovan.
Oh, how much does this fella weigh?
By the way, 500 pounds plus, Art. Oh, that's not fair. The other guy only weighs half the amount. Thank you,
Oh,
Art, for
art.
pointing out that the heel has the weight disadvantage in this match.
Doesn't miss a
By the
trick,
way,
does he?
yeah, did you congratulate Carmella and Corey Graves? Apparently, Carmella is
What they
pregnant.
do?
Carmella's pregnant
Oh,
again, and Corey has managed to not get himself fired yet.
well, congratulations to both of them for that.
Yeah. Um, Today's only Tuesday. Jesus Christ, I'm so thrown off since coming back from vacation. Uh, I
Yeah,
can't.
I'm pretty fucking off too. What?
Did
I'm
did you
tired.
watch the Leon Slater spot from the TNA pay-per-view?
I did see a clip of that spot.
Okay. He shimmied up to the top of the truss because they're doing an Ultimate X. And the point is, there's like five guys, including fucking Moose, there to catch him, and none of them caught him.
And then Jordan Grace posted a defense of not catching people. I want to like her, but every time she opens her mouth, something stupid falls out.
I mean, I'm not going to defend not catching him, but you hear people whine about how one of the things that isn't believable in wrestling is that everybody stands clumped together waiting for the guy to dive on them. And technically they
Yes.
did not do that. However, especially in this case, Leon Slater was expecting them to catch him.
Here's the
It was
thing. If you can't do the spot in a way that does not look contrived and with obvious cooperation, don't fucking do the spot.
And I think it's really noticeable that, like, I don't know if maybe he didn't go where he was supposed to because Moose is all the way on the other side. And when he splats, you see Moose run over to check on him. It's like I think he was supposed to land on Moose or near Moose because hey, he was the biggest motherfucker there. And did not
I
come
mean, yeah.
anywhere close.
Moose is
And then
probably the guy that I would choose to catch me of the group.
yeah. It reminded me, do you remember at a lockdown like 15 years ago, they did an X Division match and the same thing happened with Chase Stevens, where he did a shooting star press off the top of the cage and everyone they didn't move, but he managed to land in between where everybody was standing.
I kind of remember that. Oh, poor Chase Stevens.
And then remember when the Miz had heat for 5 minutes because
Yes.
he was horribly out of place on an R-Truth dive?
Yes, I remember that one.
And R-Truth went splat.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that R-Truth could go splat. Oh, I guess while
He,
we're like dragging this along, let's talk about our WrestleMania prediction game.
okay.
Um, yeah, it's like I'm like sitting here like, man, we're really going short here. We gotta extend this. And I'm like, oh yeah, we got something to talk about. Oh Lord. So let me pull out our the notebook. Now, before I read these off here, I should note that I was part of the AEW Heels WrestleMania prediction game that I won. I only got two wrong, and I got a lot more wrong on this show, on our little thing here. So first, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I said Solo. You said Dragon Lee. Neither of them are Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, Carmelo Hayes won. This is my
Yeah.
first hearing of who won the Andre.
So let me see here. We both got Jade Cargill, Jacob Fatu, Jay Uso, Logan Paul, and Dominic Mysterio pinning Finn Balor right. Um, and then you got New Day right, and I got El Grande Americano right, which you could argue shouldn't count because, he didn't beat Rey Mysterio, he beat Rey Fenix, but close enough. I got Drew McIntyre right over Damian Priest, and you got John Cena right over Cody Rhodes. And so that gave us both seven right. We each got Orton's opponent wrong. I don't think anyone was calling that. We both
No.
got the three-way on Saturday wrong. We got the women's tag title match. We got Charlotte beating Tiffy wrong. And that's about it for that. So then it comes down to the tiebreaker, the Io Sky Bianca Belair Rhea Ripley match. We both said that Io Sky would win, and Io won. But this is where the tiebreaker comes in, Trey. One of
Okay.
us said that she would beat Rhea Ripley. The other said she would beat Bianca Belair. Do you remember which of us was correct?
I do not.
You were. You said she'd pin
Oh,
Bianca.
look at me.
So by virtue of the tiebreaker, Trey wins the Something Else WrestleMania prediction game.
Right on, right on. Well,
And
I'll give you a rematch next year.
there you go. If we're still doing this next year. I mean,
I don't see why we would stop now.
yeah, by that point, we'll be in the last year of Smoky Mountain. You may be at one point, you may be like, we need to just record like the last 30 shows all at the same time, just so we can get out of this. Yeah,
No,
like
no. Look,
there's
listener,
like
teaser. I'm not going to say what, but we know what we're doing after Smoky Mountain.
yeah, there is like I don't know, like no one's told me. Like Jim Cornette did not call me and tell me when the money mark stopped putting in money. But I think it's really obvious when he pulls out, when Ruben pulls out. Because like the show really, really takes a bad turn.
Oh, that's gonna be sad.
Yes,
I enjoyed the
indeed.
show very much.
You know, it's funny. It's like I mean, I guess spoiler alert for stuff that's going to happen a year from now. Hopefully, Trey, you forget about this by then. It's like Jim Cornette talks about like all these shitty guys that are in wrestling now and how do they get a job. He fucking had Boo Radley, Balls Mahoney here for like a year and a half, like long past his point of usefulness. Like we're gonna have the Wolf Man here. We're gonna have Terry Gordy, like when Terry Gordy is at his lowest point. You know, we're gonna have fucking um Butch Cassidy, the midget wrestler, is going to be a big part of the last few months of Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Really.
Yeah. I was just like, because I went back uh, to watch the Buddy Landell babyface promo, and instead of just, I don't know, pulling it up on YouTube, I pulled up the episode of Smoky Mountain, and while I was doing something else, I just let the rest of the episode play, and like there's some good shit, and unfortunately, real life shit's gonna get in the way of the good shit.
Well, that sucks. I hate when real life gets in the way of the good shit.
Yep. Anyway, we somehow went like an hour and 5 minutes, so I think that's good enough for this week. What do you say?
I think we were lucky to get that.
Yeah. Um, so I know it's only been 24 real life hours, but any news about the Oh My God cast?
Nothing has been discussed or determined in my mind. I'm gonna message Ben about Thursday or Friday and say, "Hey, we're gonna do a show this weekend," and he'll say yes, and then we'll do a show this weekend. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. But in my mind, the Oh My God cast will be back next week.
Sounds good. And we'll figure out something for our schedule because um I'm suddenly forgetting why, but I can't do either Monday or Tuesday next week, but I don't remember why. But when I eventually remember, probably at like 3 in the morning, it'll come to me. I'll let you know.
Yeah, well, maybe we aren't due before that then.
Yes. Yeah, I legitimately cannot figure out why we can't do it whatever day I was thinking to myself, but I'm
It'll
sure there's
come
a
to
very
you,
valid reason.
I'm
And it's
sure.
not because I want to watch NXT next week or something like that.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
You can tell me. The
Oh yeah,
first
I've got
step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem.
um there I guess it shouldn't really affect us. Maybe I have to do it later in the night, but I have a group meeting to attend next Tuesday. So that's why.
What kind
But
of group?
a transgender group.
Oh, okay.
See, they put all of us in the same room together, and that's how we plan to take over the world.
So what is the you have a clouder of cats, a parliament of owls. You have a what do you have of transgender people?
A tribunal.
Oh, I like that. A tribunal of transgenders.
Yes. And that's when we discuss our ways of having forced sex changes in high schools and, all that shit. Because that's what they do in high schools is give you a sex change against your
Yeah,
will.
one time I went for the nosebleeds and they changed my sex.
Man, poor Mrs. Trae, she thought she was getting into a lesbian relationship, but then you went to a public high school where they forcibly gave you a sex change operation.
Look, that was the least of my problems, okay? I went to public school in Arkansas. They told us the dinosaurs went extinct because an asteroid turned them gay.
An asteroid turned them gay. Please tell me that is legitimately what they told you.
No, that was a line from Titus Andromeda on The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
You would think I'd remember that. I love that show.
Uh, he said it about
Believe me,
Mississippi, but close enough.
when I was at the TNA Unbreakable show a few weeks ago, I could not stop humming to myself, Unbreakable, they alive, damn it. It's a miracle. Unbreakable. They alive, damn it. But females are strong
Females
as
are
hell.
strong as hell. I need to rewatch that
Uh,
show. That was a great show.
it, it really was. It's like, oh, hey, what the hell? While we're like going off onto a tangent, I love Tina Fey, and I'm that one person who finds everything Tina Fey does hilarious. The problem is Tina Fey cannot write for the masses. Like 30 Rock was a great show. Kimmy Schmidt was a great fucking show. She's had a few other shows that were great, but Tina Fey's brand of humor doesn't really appeal, and her shows just don't get watched. And it ends up with like this
Huh.
giant mystery that how do these shows winning all these awards have like the lowest ratings of all TV shows?
Maybe I need to watch 30 Rock because I like
You know,
Kimmy
you
Schmidt.
never saw 30 Rock?
No, I never saw 30 Rock. Yeah, I heard of it,
That is a great show. I'm not going to say the problem with it at this point because, again, what was okay 15 years ago is not okay nowadays. But there is like one of the better episodes that has been cut from all streaming services because someone is in blackface in it.
Oh, look,
Yeah.
it's like, that's stupid. That's stupid,
And,
stupid.
and and it's like
Look,
one of the things that's like it's not like Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown where it's like you could just cut out that match from WrestleMania 6 and unless you're really looking for it, you're none the smarter, you're none the wiser. It was a pretty big part of that episode. So it's like the damn episode would have been like 10 minutes long if you cut out all of his stuff.
yeah, I just look as a it history is not politically correct. Okay,
No, and
it's
but that's the thing. Like
yeah,
that's why we learn from this shit. Like
yeah,
I know you're not a fake sports fan, but the baseball movies Major League and Major League Two, the team that it's based around is the Cleveland Indians. And when those air on TV, they put disclaimers up at the beginning of the movies that basically say what was okay to say in the 1990s isn't okay to say now.
yeah. And why can't you just leave it at that? Why do we have to take shit off of like and hide it? Because I
Yeah.
mean,
It's like
here's the thing: if we're
the DX
really
parody of the nation. Like
we're hiding it
I,
because we're ashamed of it, but if we were really fucking ashamed of it, we would use it as a look.
a
This
learning
was some
tool.
shit we used to do that was unacceptable, and we don't do that anymore.
Yeah. And it's like the DX parody of the nation. Like when I was a kid, that was the funniest fucking skit I've ever seen in my life. And to be honest, it had almost nothing to do with X-Pac playing Mark Henry
No, it was mostly Road Dogg being Belo.
and Jason Sensation being Owen, you
Uh,
know,
I wake up in the morning and I love the smell of fresh coffee all the way in Brazil.
all the way in Brazil. And if anybody smells what the Rock is cooking, it's me. Look how big my damn nose is. What the hell am I? An
Oh.
aardvark? What does brother look like? An aardvark?
Oh, that was yeah.
By the way, we talked about Mark Mero on the show a few weeks ago and how he was just a white guy with a really good tan. I was thinking about this when sleeping through WrestleMania 10. Little Richard does America the Beautiful. I remember as a kid thinking that him and Johnny B. Bad were like brothers.
Well, he's as Johnny B. Bad is as pretty as a picture, and he looks just like Little Richard.
He did too.
Don't be fooled by his looks though, because he's got a mean left hook. If you don't want to end up
Yes.
sad, don't mess with Johnny B. Bad.
Someone on my Facebook said that his wife didn't think Rick Rude was ravishing. And I'm like, did she not listen to his theme song? It says he's a ravishing, dazzling, ravishing Rude.
Seriously, next you're gonna tell me she doesn't think Robert Roode was glorious.
Or Shinsuke Nakamura. I still like that's the one I can't believe. They were going to use the glorious theme song for Shinsuke Nakamura. Like that
I just I can't believe
did
that that's real. That's like something that somebody made up to troll like the newsletters. Nobody's that fucking stupid.
because like I was like, who the hell like that doesn't even make sense. Like if you lined up everybody in NXT in 2016 or whatever year that was and said one of these people are going to have the glorious theme song, you would have picked everybody else except for Shinsuke Nakamura. You know, Sam,
Yeah.
Sami Zayn would have come out to that song instead of his Sami Zayn theme instead. Can, can you imagine
It's just so
Joe
weird.
coming out to that song?
Oh, that's upsetting.
It's hard to be an angry Samoan while they're screaming "Glorious."
Okay, I could find some humor in Joe just getting angry and angry because the song won't stop.
Oh my God! So my brother, who has said about three funny things in his life, like many moons ago, before the WWE Network was even a thought, I bought the entire 2000 run of WCW Nitro off eBay, and we were watching it. And he said out of the blue one day, like it would be hilarious if at the intro of Nitro during their opening video package, instead of the usual Nitro song, they played the Great Muda's themes, and it somehow that just really cracked us up.
Which one? Tokyo Takeaway? That's my favorite.
Do, 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 do. That one, the
Yeah,
WCW theme
Tokyo
song.
Takeaway, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that is the intro to Nitro. All right, so now that we managed to go an extra 20 minutes after we were going to end the show 20 minutes ago, now it's about the good time to end things. Especially now that I've stopped taking
Yeah.
notes on what we've talked about. So this show's going to be a mystery to people who listen to this. But anyway, until next week, I'm Arya. That's Trae. Thanks for listening. Talk to you in 7 days.
Bye.